Nkechi sat at the edge of her bed, smiling as she looked at her phone. It was Tchukwu's 40th birthday, a big one, and even though he was away on a work trip in Enugu, she had planned something special. She had been his wife for 12 years, and every birthday, she made sure he felt loved. This time, she went all out. Earlier in the week, she and her two children, Chinaza, 10, and Obinna, 7, had spent hours putting together a video. It was filled with memories, photos of their wedding day, the kids' baby moments, and short messages from friends and family. Her daughter even made a drawing that said, "Happy birthday, Daddy, you're our hero." They planned to surprise him with the video that night. Nkechi couldn't wait to see the smile on his face when he saw it. As the day went by, she kept calling to Tchukwu, but he didn't pick up. She told herself, he's probably in a meeting or resting. It's his birthday after all. But a small worry sat quietly in her heart. By 9 p.m., the kids had fallen asleep. Nkechi sat alone in the living room, phone in hand, ready to hit play on the video the moment he called back. But nothing. She tried again. No answer. At 10:30 p.m., she called once more. This time, the call didn't even ring. His phone was switched off. That was strange. Tchukwu always kept his phone on, especially on trips. Just before 11 p.m., her phone buzzed. She quickly sat up, thinking it was him. But it wasn't. It was a strange number. She picked up. A woman's voice, sharp, cold, spoke on the other end. "Can you stop calling my husband?" Nkechi froze. "I'm sorry? Who is this?" The woman repeated, slower this time. "I said, stop calling my husband. He's sleeping beside me. I don't know who you are, but stop calling his line." Nkechi's heart began to pound in her chest. She felt dizzy. "Your husband," she whispered. The line went dead. She sat there, staring at her screen, the silence in the room suddenly louder than ever. In her hands, the phone slipped slightly. The birthday video started playing by itself. "Happy birthday, Daddy, from all of us. We love you." Tears filled her eyes. Something wasn't right. And deep inside, she knew, her world was about to break open. Nkechi sat frozen on the couch. Her hand was still holding the phone, but her whole body felt numb. She stared at the dark screen like it could explain what just happened. Who was that woman? What did she mean, her husband? Her heart beat faster, like it was trying to escape from her chest. She dialed the number again. The phone rang once. Then silence. Then it rang again. And this time, the same woman picked up. "Hello," Nkechi said, her voice shaking. The woman didn't say hello back. Instead, she said coldly, "You've been calling Tchukwu nonstop. He's my husband. I don't know who you are, but you need to stop this nonsense." Nkechi blinked. She almost laughed, not because it was funny, but because it made no sense. I'm his wife," Nkechi said slowly. "His real wife. His only wife. What are you talking about?" There was a short silence. Then the woman laughed. A loud, bitter laugh. "His wife," she mocked. "Tchukwu is sleeping beside me. He just finished eating dinner. We have 3 children. You think you're the wife. Madam, maybe you're the side chick. Should I put the phone to his ear so he can say it himself?" Nkechi stood up. Her legs felt weak. She couldn't breathe. Everything around her started to spin, like the world had shifted in 1 second. She looked around her living room, her children's drawings on the wall, their school bags by the door, the birthday cake she had bought for him in the fridge. Tears filled her eyes. She tried to speak, but no words came out. On the other end of the phone, the woman waited, then said, "That's what I thought. Don't call this number again." Click. The call ended. Nkechi stood there, her phone in one hand, and her heart shattered in the other. She had never felt this kind of pain before. The man she had loved, cooked for, prayed for, was sleeping beside another woman in another city. And that woman thought she was the outsider. Nkechi's fingers shook as she dialed the number again. Once, twice, 3 times. No answer. She sent a message. To Chukwu, "Please call me. What is going on?" Delivered. Then a second message. "Who is that woman? Why is she saying she's your wife?" Before her eyes, the blue ticks disappeared. She tried to call again. This time, it went straight to voicemail. Then something strange happened. Her messages stopped delivering. Blocked. She stared at the screen, waiting, hoping. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe the woman had his phone and... Buzz. A photo appeared in her inbox. From an unknown number. She opened it. Her heart stopped. It was to Chukwu, her husband, smiling in a family photo with 3 children. All of them were wearing matching red pajamas. The same pajamas she had bought and sent him the previous week. She even remembered writing on the note, "For you and the boys. I hope you're warm." In the photo, one of the kids was wearing her son's name, Obinna, on the pajama chest. But it wasn't her son. It was another boy. And to Chukwu, he looked comfortable, happy, like a man with no secrets. Nkechi couldn't breathe. She dropped her phone on the couch and pressed her hands to her face. "God, what is this?" she whispered. But she wasn't done. Something inside her snapped. She stood up, wiped her tears, and picked up her laptop. She logged into their joint bank account. Transactions she didn't recognize popped up. Gifts, hotels, restaurant bills, all in Enugu. All during times he told her he was in meetings or too tired to talk. She opened his old Facebook account. Empty. Then she remembered something. Once, he joked about having an old name from secondary school, Tony Ike. She typed it into Facebook. Her hand flew to her mouth. There he was. To Chukwu, now Tony Ike, wearing a matching agbada with the same woman from the phone. Profile. Round pushpin lives in Enugu. Ring married to a Maka Ike. Family man woman girl boy father of 3. She clicked through the photos. Birthdays, school runs, Christmas at a resort. All smiles. All lies. Each photo felt like a knife. The man who kissed her goodbye last week was the same man holding another woman's waist in a picture from that same night. And all Nkechi could think was, how long has he been lying to me? Who am I in this story? She felt her legs weaken. But this time, she didn't cry. She stared at the screen, her face hard. She wasn't going to break. She was going to find out everything. Nkechi didn't sleep that night. She sat in the dark, watching her children breathe softly in their sleep, wondering how much longer she could protect their world from breaking. By morning, she had made up her mind. She called her younger sister. Please, I need you to watch Chinaza and Obina for a few days. I have something urgent to handle. She didn't explain. She couldn't. 2 hours later, with just a small bag, dark sunglasses, and a calm face hiding a storm inside her, Nkechi boarded a bus to Enugu, the city where her husband had been living a second life. She didn't travel as Mrs. Nkechi Okafor. She used her maiden name, Nkechi Uzoma, and introduced herself as Ngozi. It wasn't safe to show her real face. Not yet. When she arrived in Enugu, she asked a bike man for the address she had found through her husband's online activity. It led her to a quiet, lovely neighborhood. Wide streets, trimmed hedges, a peaceful place where lies could live freely behind clean walls. She stood across the road and stared at the bungalow. It had white walls, a small flower garden, and a bright red gate. A family car sat in the driveway. The curtains were open. Her heart began to race. This was it. She looked around, spotted a "To Let" sign on a nearby flat, and walked to the gate of her husband's house. A young woman answered. Her skin was glowing, her smile warm. It was Amaka, the woman from the phone. "Hi," Nkechi said cheerfully, forcing a smile. "I'm Ngozi. I just came to check the flat next door. I'm new to Enugu and I heard this neighborhood is lovely." "Oh, you'll love it here," Amaka said brightly. "Would you like to come in for a drink? It's so hot today." Nkechi hesitated, but smiled. "Sure." She stepped into the house her husband built without her. It smelled of lemon polish and baby powder. The tiles were clean. Toys scattered the living room floor. She could hear a cartoon playing in the background. As they talked, Nkechi looked around, her eyes scanning every inch, the photos on the wall, the furniture, the curtains. Then she saw it. A large framed photo on the console. Tchukwu, her husband, was smiling in the middle, holding a baby in his arms. On his wrist, the silver watch she gave him last Christmas. She even remembered wrapping it herself with a small note inside. "To the man who always keeps time for us." She felt her knees weaken. She wanted to scream, to throw the glass of juice in her hand and ask, "How long has this been going on?" But she didn't. She smiled. She blinked away the tears. And she kept listening. Because now she knew she wasn't just visiting. She had come to uncover the truth with her own eyes. Nkechi sat on the couch, smiling politely as Amaka chatted about the neighborhood, the kids' school, and how Tony was such a good father. Nkechi's hands trembled in her lap. Her heart was thudding like a drum. She couldn't take it anymore. She took a deep breath. "Amaka," she said softly, "there's something I need to tell you." Amaka raised an eyebrow. "Yes." Nkechi reached into her bag and pulled out a small folder. Her fingers moved carefully, like she was handling fire. She handed over a photo. It was her wedding picture. Nkechi in a white dress. Tchukwu beside her, smiling like the happiest man alive. Then another, their kids' birth certificates, with his full name on both. Finally, she took out her phone and tapped play on a short video. Tchukwu's voice came through clearly. "My wife Nkechi is the strongest woman I know." His face was visible, his arms around her. The same voice, the same smile, the same man. Amaka's smile vanished. The air in the room changed. She stared at the photos. then at the video, then back at Nkechi. At first, she laughed. This must be some kind of sick joke. But her voice was shaking. She flipped through the documents again. Her hands began to tremble. She stood up suddenly. "Get out!" she shouted. "Get out of my house!" "I'm not the one who lied to you," Nkechi said, standing too, her voice steady. "I was lied to, just like you." Amaka picked up her phone. Her hands were shaking so badly, she almost dropped it. She called to Chukwu. "Tony," she screamed, "you need to come home. Right now. Right now." 30 minutes passed. Then the front door opened. Tchukwu walked in, holding a plastic bag of groceries. He looked up and froze. His face went pale. His knees almost gave out. There they were, Nkechi, Amaka, side by side. 2 wives, 1 man, 1 house. "Jesus," he muttered, stepping back. "What is this?" Amaka shouted. "Who is she?" Nkechi's voice cut through the air. "I'm your wife, from Abuja, the one you married 12 years ago, the one you lied to. I gave you everything, and you gave me nothing but shame." Tchukwu held his head in his hands. "It's not what it looks like." Amaka threw the photo album at him. "Not what it looks like. You have 2 families." He looked from one woman to the other, stuttering, sweating, crumbling. In the hallway, a small figure appeared. Their youngest child, no more than 4, stood holding a stuffed bear. He looked up, confused. "Mommy, why is Daddy with another woman?" Silence fell, the kind of silence that breaks the walls. Amaka sank to her knees. Nkechi turned away, her face wet with tears. Tchukwu looked down at his child, and for the first time, he couldn't lie. Everything had come out, and nothing would ever be the same again. Nkechi didn't sleep that night in Enugu. She sat on a hotel bed, her phone in one hand, her wedding ring in the other. Everything hurt, her body, her chest, even her breath. But through the pain, something had changed inside her. She was no longer confused. She was no longer begging for answers. She was done. By morning, Nkechi boarded the first bus back to Abuja. Her hands were shaking, but her mind was clear. As soon as she got home, she hugged her children tightly. She looked into their little eyes and knew she couldn't lie, not the way their father had. She sat them down on the sofa, wrapped in a blanket. "Mommy needs to tell you something," she said softly. "Daddy has been living in another city, with another family. I'm so sorry." There were tears. Confused questions. Her son asked, "So we're not his real family?" Nkechi hugged him tightly. "No, my baby. You are his real children. But Daddy made some very wrong choices." The next day, she went to a lawyer. The pen shook in her hand, but she signed the divorce papers. 11 years of love, lies, and sacrifice, ending in one powerful decision. A few days later, Tchukwu called. Not crying, not begging for forgiveness, begging for silence. "Nkechi, please," he whispered. "Let's not destroy everything. Think of the kids. My job. My church title. If this gets out, I'll lose everything." She stayed quiet for a moment. Then she said calmly, "You should have thought about that 11 years ago." because that's how long he had been living this lie. 11 years. 2 full marriages. He told Amaka he worked in Abuja and came home when he could. He told Nkechi he worked in Enugu and traveled often. Neither woman ever questioned much. He was always busy, always working late, always sending money. And the sad part, they both believed him. Until now. Tchukwu begged her not to take the matter to court, not to shame him in front of the community. But Nkechi had already escaped the worst prison, silence. Now she was free, and she wasn't going back. 2 months passed. Nkechi had begun to heal. Her children were slowly adjusting, and peace was starting to return, until she got a call that changed everything again. It was Amaka. Her voice was cold, shaken. Nkechi, I just found out. He never married me. Not legally. Nkechi sat up. What do you mean? Amaka explained. She had gone to get documents for the kids, birth certificates, school records, and needed proof of marriage. When she went to the registry, the clerk checked the files. There was no record of any marriage between Tchukwu and Amaka. Nothing. He had held a traditional ceremony in her village, worn the wine-stained beads, danced, paid the bride price, but he never signed anything. It was all for show. He tricked me, Amaka said, her voice breaking. He made me believe I was his wife for 9 years. Silence hung between them. Then, for the first time, the 2 women, once rivals, stood on the same side. They were both victims. That week, Amaka joined Nkechi at the courthouse. The charge: fraud, emotional abuse, willful deception. The news caught fire. A headline spread across local blogs and radio stations. Man accused of running 2 families across 2 states. People were shocked, outraged. Some even defended him, saying maybe he was just trying to be a good father. But most were angry. How can one man lie to 2 women for over a decade? Outside the courthouse, reporters gathered. Cameras flashed. But the biggest shock hadn't come yet. One evening, as Nkechi scrolled through her messages, she saw a DM on Instagram. Then another. 2 women. Strangers. Both claiming they had once dated Tchukwu. Seriously. One wrote, "He told me he was divorced. We dated for a year. He even met my family." The other sent photos, selfies of her and Tchukwu at a beach resort. Nkechi stared at the screen, her heart sinking all over again. How many more were there? How many women had heard the same sweet lies? And how long had he been living this double, or maybe triple, life? The truth was bigger than her pain. Tchukwu hadn't just betrayed her. He had built his entire life on lies. Nkechi never thought she would find peace again. But as the months passed, something unexpected happened. She started to rebuild. She took her pain, everything she had been through, and turned it into strength. Nkechi created a small online community for women who had survived betrayal. She called it Wives Who Survived Betrayal. At first, it was just a few women, then more and more. The group grew. They shared stories, supported each other, and gave advice on how to heal after emotional wounds. Nkechi became their guide, their voice. They called her their warrior. Nkechi found herself writing a book about her experiences, about love, loss, survival, and strength. She poured everything into those pages, writing about how she had gone from a broken woman to someone who could stand tall and proud, no matter the storm. She began speaking at women's events, sharing her story with others. Her voice was calm but powerful, filled with a wisdom that only came from true struggle. 1 year later, she stood at the airport with her children. They were going to Ghana for a holiday, her first real trip as an independent woman. Her children were excited. She smiled as they ran ahead, their laughter echoing in the airport. They were free now, too, free from the weight of Tchukwa's lies. Nkechi looked out the window, watching the plane prepare for takeoff. Her heart was light, her mind clear. For the first time, she felt whole. She wasn't defined by the pain anymore. She wasn't just the woman who had been betrayed. She was more than that. She was a mother, a survivor, a warrior. Tchukwa may have lived 2 lives, hiding behind false identities and broken promises. But she was living one full, honest life, finally. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories. Turn on your notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.